Good afternoon, one and all. I welcome you all to this webinar series on Career in Pharmacy, organized by the Training and Placement Cell of Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, Pimpri, Pune. Our today's topic is career in Pharmacy, the Indian pharmaceutical sector, and government jobs. Government jobs are considered a very lucrative option after you complete your pharmacy. So our today's attempt is just to throw more light and clarity on the same. To guide us on that, we are extremely privileged to have with us the Honorable Deputy Collector of Gas, Government of Gujarat, Mr. Mayur Parmar sir. He will guide you through the various government job opportunities that you can have after you complete your pharmacy. We welcome you, sir, on behalf of Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, Pimpri, Pune, management, principal, staff, and students, and also all the participants.
Thank you.
Before we go ahead with the session, we will take this opportunity to introduce you, presenting your brief profile. To do this, I request Dr. Shivani Desai, member of TNP cell of the institute. Please, ma'am.
A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm honored to introduce to you all our today's resource person, Mr. Mayur Parmar sir. Mr. Parmar is working as Deputy Collector at Navsari and pursuing his PhD in New Drug Delivery Systems. He is carrying total 10 years of rich experience in pharma regulation and administrative services. As a civil servant, he has worked in various projects like election management, disaster management, PDS, land revenues, and many more. He initiated Fill the Bottle project and other related projects to spread the awareness regarding restricting the use of plastic. The project has been selected for the Scotch Award. Prior to this, Mayur was working in drug regulation domain. With 5 years of experience of drug regulation, Mayur has investigated more than 117 NSQ drugs and launched prosecutions for spurious and misbranded drugs. Sir has been awarded with Pharma Leadership Award for his contribution in this sector. He has completed his Masters in Pharmacy with specialization in New Drug Delivery System from Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, Gujarat, with 2 gold medals for securing first position in the university. He was honored for his excellence in academic career at BIPAAS Alumni. He has published 4 research papers in international and national journals. He is pursuing his PhD in New Drug Delivery System. Also, Sir was a member of WHO team for upregulation of national regulatory system. He has chaired 2 international conferences and has spoken at various national and international forums organized by groups like Fleming, Terrapin, Compliance Trainings, Virtual Insight, etc. Mr. Parmar is having industrial experience in formulation development and intellectual property management. Apart from this, he is actively involved in various social activities for welfare of underprivileged through Reason for Smile organization. A huge believer of lifetime learning, Mayur constantly strives to improve himself both on personal as well as professional front. With this brief introduction, I would now request Mr. Mayur Parmar to please start with the session. Please, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm very much honored to share the ideas and the thoughts with the students. I'm very much thankful to Sneha ma'am and the principal sir of the college and other faculty members of the college for arranging such a good session for all the students. Well, for the students, I guess it must be like, you must be thinking that there must be another webinar, and there is a mushrooming growth of the webinars these days. And I'm sure everybody must be thinking, okay, oh, why should I attend one more webinar? But let us make sure that we will make it more of an interactive session rather than one. Okay, I don't want to spoil your afternoon by bombarding from the one side without listening to you. So what we'll do, I guess we are 150 plus people here. So checking my chat part. Okay, so whenever you feel that you want to share something, or you want to add something, or you want to ask something, you just ping me on the chat part. I will check it, and we will definitely share it. Make sure, be sure that this session is not kind of a very pure kind of an academic session. It is like a more of a discussion session. It
हर एक के अंदर कोई ना कोई स्ट्रेंथ है, कुछ ना कुछ है, बस उसको ढूंढना है। जब आपके अंदर एक डिजायर आएगा कि मुझे जानना है भाई कि मेरी स्ट्रेंथ क्या है, मेरे में यूनिक क्या है जो इस पूरी दुनिया में किसी में नहीं है, आपको जवाब मिलने शुरू हो जाएंगे। आपकी सक्सेस आपके अंदर बाहर नहीं है। पैशन आपका अंदर है, आपकी स्ट्रेंथ आपके अंदर है, जो भी आप बनना चाहते हो सब आपके अंदर है। आपकी विल पावर के आगे दुनिया की कोई भी ताकत टिक नहीं सकती। आपने सोच लिया मुझे करना है, इतनी प्रॉब्लम्स आएंगी, आने दो, मुझे करना है। सब कुछ खो सकता है, खोले दो, मुझे करना है। पता होगा कि अगर मैं ये कर सकता हूं तो मैं ये भी कर सकता हूं, मैं ये भी कर सकता हूं, मैं ये भी कर सकता हूं, मैं वो भी कर सकता हूं, मैं ये भी, मैं सब कुछ कर सकता हूं। अगर आपके अंदर लड़ने की स्पिरिट है तो आप जीत लो, तो आप जीत लो। अरे मिलेगा भाई, इतना मिलेगा जितना आप सपने में भी नहीं सोच सकते। खिलाड़ी तो बनो, पक्के खिलाड़ी तो बनो। एक तरफ है जो आप करना चाहते हो, जो आप बनना चाहते हो, और दूसरी तरफ है जो दुनिया आपसे करवाना चाहती है। अपने आप को बोलना है मेरे अंदर इनफाइनाइट पावर्स है, अगर मैं कुछ ठान लूं तो मैं वो कर सकता हूं। के बाद भी मेरे अंदर ये करेंट है कि मैं आगे बढ़ता रहूंगा, मैं हार नहीं मान रहा। तो अगर इतनी बुरी सिचुएशन से जब मैं ऊपर उठूंगा तो मैं क्या होगा?
Hello friends, I'm hopeful that I'm audible to you, right? I am audible. What's your question? Okay, just let me know anything you want to communicate with me in the chat box. Okay, so when we are like, you must have seen this video before from the famous Sandeep Maheshwari again. So he mentioned here, like, we are living in the world where there are people who always wants to criticize us, who always want, oh nahi ho sakta tumse, like, whenever, like, we have grown up from the kid to now you are pursuing your B Pharma. Every time you must have met people who will always say that, oh ye tere bas ki baat nahi hai, you cannot do this thing, this is not for you, this is not your cup of tea, right? If you will go back and go back in your life, you observe the things, you will always find that there will be thousands of people that you have met, and they must be sharing you something which you cannot do. However, there are very few people who will share that, okay, you can do that thing, you why don't, we have an infinite power in us, and whatever we decide, we can certainly do that thing, provided we put our full energy into it. Okay, I really love the one particular line in that video, that milega, like, you'll get plenty of it, you'll get so much of rewards, but the condition is, has to be the khiladi, you has to be the player of the game. If you're putting your blood into it, then you will not get anything. If you are putting your blood into it, then the success waiting for you. Okay, so I wanted to start with one question. Like, I really wanted to make it an interactive. So, like, how many of us are not very much satisfied with the current recognition of our field? Okay, those who are like, please write it into the chat box. You are satisfied with the current recognition of pharmacy in India or not? Okay, so like, I'm observing the chat. Please share your views. Like, when you are satisfied with the current pharmacy regulation, what you can say, like, recognition, the value, the recognition of Indian scenario, whether the pharmacy profession is getting proper respect or not, whether the pharmacy profession is getting proper recognition or not. Are you satisfied with it? You please respond into the chat box. I don't see some chats now. Okay. Okay. Oh, don't. Oh, I can see Manasi. You're raising your. Well, I must. Many of us will not be very much satisfied with the current recognition of our field. Okay. We must be considering, we must pharmacists are getting recognition in so and so other developed countries. The pharmacy profession is having a much higher respect and the recognition. Then why it is not so in India? Okay, so we have two solutions for it. Okay, one is like, we can sit and play the blame game. Okay, that oh, this organization has not done proper, or this institution has not done proper, or that institution has not done proper. And second thing we can do is to do best as an individual, to do best as an individual pharmacist. We are sitting in 2020. However, still there are many people who still give the licenses on rent. They're selling their profession for a few hundred rupees. Okay. And then how shall we demand recognition? How shall we demand the respect to our profession? So first thing is, like, we have to value our profession. We do, at least we should not sell our profession like just after our graduation. And then definitely like, once we start doing best as an individual, we will definitely get the required recognition to our profession. Okay, so this is what are my starting remarks. Would appreciate if you will share more and more your views and thoughts in the chat feel free, don't hesitate. Okay, write whether whatever your opinion, your thoughts, you can definitely write it into the chat box. I will certainly like to discuss on it. I will appreciate the Ashwini's thought that she's saying that now we are getting bit bit more respect to earlier years. That is true. Okay, so let us move forward. I would like to share this disclaimer that whatever I am sharing today, they are my personal views and government has nothing to do with it. So tomorrow, if you want to sue somebody for this particular thoughts, you please sue me. Don't sue the government. Okay, so fine. Here, before we go into the question answer session, or what kind of career opportunities we do have in our segment, in our sector, uh, these are certain myths which I should be I should discuss with the future pharmacists, like all of you, who are the future of Indian pharmaceutical sector. You must be knowing, I'm sure, you are in your final year, third year, or second year. You should be knowing that our pharmaceutical industry is one of the biggest in the world. We are third in the world as far as the volume of our sector is concerned. You should also be knowing that we are considered as a world's pharmacy. There is no country where Indians are not exporting their products. Even like such a regulated countries like a USA or Europe, like US FDA approvals, Indian pharmaceutical sector companies do have a maximum number of US FDA approvals and approvals from EMEA and other regulatory agencies across the globe. So that are the things which we can take proud of. However, at the same time, as you said, that from the clinical front, from the clinical pharmacy front, we have a lot more to do. There are, the at the ground level, at the rural level, at the village level, the understanding and the respect of our profession is still not up to that level. However, I would like to start with a question where, we generally discuss in the society that Indian drug regulation is poor. Okay, so agree with that. If you can please, put your views in the chat. You just need to write yes or no. That's fine. Okay, so do you agree that Indian drug regulation is poor compared to US FDA or EMEA or any other regulated countries like Australia or any other things? Do you consider that our regulation is poor, or like our regulation is up to the mark? What is your view? Okay. Okay, let me do that. Okay, so see, however, uh, you should be knowing this fact that when we were drafting our policies in, say, for example, 1950s, 60s, oh, I'm getting the response. Priyanka saying that yes, we are poor. Ashutosh, then Sanket, then Vaishu, Divya. Okay. So I got my answer that our regulation is poor, as that is the general perception of a pharmacy students also, and that could be the general perception of society also. Okay, so my next question should be, uh, if we consider that our regulation is poor, and say for example US FDA, the regulation of a USA is more stringent or more regulated. So is it hidden? I mean, is it a kind of a secret book where USA keep all the regulation, guidelines, and the rules and the acts that nobody else can access it? No, right? It is one click away. If you want to see that how USA is regulating the petrol industry, USA is regulating their oral solid industry, it is just a one click away. Everything is online. You can go there and you can find out that what are the criteria they put to regulate their industry. Okay, so now here is my next question: should we follow the US regulation regulations from tomorrow? Should we do that? Like we take the US FDA regulations, which is available online. We put it in the India word wherever the USA is written. We Indianize it basically. Okay, wherever there is a minor changes of temperature and everything is required, we'll do that. And should we start following it from tomorrow? Should we do that? Like I will again seek your answer in yes or no format. Okay, Sakshi says no, no, that we can't do that. Anonymous, oh, this is a very good name. Okay, so Mr. Anonymous says that no. Okay, many of you are saying no. Can anybody wants to put on the mic and say, share his view or her view that why we should not do that? Anybody, I will really appreciate if you put on your mic and share that why we should not copy the US FDA regulations from tomorrow. Evendra is saying that we are having one of the best regulations, but we are failing in the implementation. Okay, fine. Okay, who is saying that? I'll appreciate. Somebody has put on the mic and I'm appreciating that.
So students cannot unmute themselves. So if they raise their hand, I can unmute
Share
them.
your view.
Okay. Mukti, I think. So
Oh, is it so? Okay,
yes.
okay. Sorry.
You want me to unmute them?
To share your view. Hello. Not all, because it will create a turbulence. But if somebody who is raising the hand, I guess like the session should be with the interaction. So if somebody is raising the hand, I would like to hear her view. Okay, Mukti, you please share your views.
I'm not able to unmute him. There is some, I think, network issue at his place. Sir, I think we can go ahead.
Okay,
because
no
I'm
problem,
not able
no
to.
problem.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, sure, no problem. So I guess there is some technical issues that we will address, no problem. So the thing is, many of you are saying that we should not implement the US FDA regulations from tomorrow, right? So, and that is a very wise thing, okay? Because even though it is available, it was available just after independence also, when we were first drafting our Drugs and Cosmetic Acts amendment, or whenever we were drafting that how we are going to regulate our pharmaceutical segment just after our independence. At that time also, we were knowing the USA or Europe, how they are managing their pharmaceutical segment. We were also knowing it, though we have kept our regulatory requirements more liberal. We were knowing that yes, the quality requirement requires such kind of regulation. But though we have kept the regulatory bar at some lower level or at some liberal level, because many of you must be thinking, I've done such a thing, okay? But because you has to see it from the other way around. We are 135 crore people. At that time also, we were one of the highly populated country. Apart from it, we are the country that are hosting majority of the poor people. Okay, so suppose that after independence, when we were planning our policies, if we have started implementing the US FDA policy, what will happen next? That no Indian company can afford such kind of requirements. Okay, what will be the next? In that case, all the multinationals might have come here and they might have established their units. Okay, so no, there might not be any Indian players because they cannot even afford such quality requirements. So all the multinationals might have came and they have established their units. That is still okay. But next is, once they establish their unit, once they start selling their product, they will sell it at a high price. And ultimately, our people will be the loser because we will to afford that medicine. Okay. So what our policymakers did, that we have started with a liberalized regulation. So you know that it made the history many pharmaceutical companies have established units because of the liberal environment. Then they have started unit, they started manufacturing the product, and what we did is we step by step improved our regulatory guidelines. Step by step made it more and more stringent. And you must have observed in the last 1 decade, we have made it very stringent. Now, in 2020, we are an evolved industry. Now, we cannot give excuse that just for accommodating the Indian players, we has to liberalize our quality requirement. It is no more the case in 2020, but it was one of the best decision. It was one of the best policy decision after our independence that our regulators did at that time. And that you know that you must be studying in your book that more than 22,000 Indian manufacturers are there, and now we are world's pharmacy because we are having a very good and very established, robust kind of industry. And then in 2005, we have revised schedule, and it is like requirement made every second, third year. Now we are making it more and more stringent. And now our industry has both, like we have the volume also, and we have the quality also. So even tomorrow also, like we are making it more and more stringent, and we are like making a quality a prime requirement of our industry today. So there is no way that Indian regulation is poor. Our regulation is fitting our requirement. Yes, by saying that I know the responsibility of saying that quality is no option in 2020. And I'm sure all industries, all the private segment and the government segment has its focus on the quality today. And currently, like we are working on both the quality requirements as well as the bulk, or you can say the volume requirement. So like we are, I guess we after the colonization, still that imperialistic genes are there in our Indian community. So like you put something in front of them and you say that this is Indian and this is foreign, which is good. Like majority of will think that something is foreign is always and something which is Indian is always. But this is an old story, and you are the new generation with a new enthusiasm. And I'm sure that he has to see the day then when somebody puts something in front of you and say that, hey, this is Indian and this is a foreign, or you can say this is from so-called developed world, which is better. Then we should be saying that, oh, something is Indian, it should be better and will be better always. Okay, so if it is very easy to criticize something, like it is very easy to say कि oh India में तो सब कुछ चलता है, India में banned drugs भी मिल जाते हैं, India का regulation बहुत ही poor है. But it is not the case. Our policy decisions are well thought process, and as far as the pharmaceutical segment is concerned, the policy making is something very, very stringent and very well planned. Oh, Dhammapal Davane is asking that, sir, what is the eligibility criteria? Oh yeah, we are coming for it. Post question in chat books. Okay, fine. So this is that. One more thing which I would like to ask is that whether our drugs are costly or not. Every country is having some good policies for their price control. Say for example, the developed world like a USA or the Europe, they are facing a strong challenges as far as the drug price is concerned. There are many people who cannot even afford the medicines over there. And so that that there is a medical tourism flourishing in India, where people from the developed world come to the India and they go for a treatment. So should the government, because like we have one very unique kind of a regulation that is like drug price control order. Very many countries do not have such regulation. So should we have a control on a medicine price, or should we leave it to the market? Let the market decide the price, which is there for the other commodities, right? So should we leave it to the market, or should the government intervene and control the price? My question is clear. Say for example, in India, government has a drug price control order. government will decide that, okay, you are manufacturing a paracetamol, then you cannot sell one tablet by more than 1 rupee. Okay, so even though like you are selling it by more than 1 rupee, if you are selling your tablet at a 2 rupee, government will penalize you. Okay, this is a very unique kind of a regulation in India. Many countries, like if you go outside India, there are very few countries where government is actually going and intervening into the price mechanisms. Okay, so what should we do? Whether we are going in a right direction or we should leave it to the market कि आप 1 रुपए में बेच रहे हो, दूसरा मैन्युफैक्चरर 2 रुपए में बेच रहे हो, 2 रुपए में बेच रहा है, तो फिर ऑब्वियसली मार्केट के भी फोर्सेस रहते हैं जो प्राइस को कंट्रोल करते हैं. तो क्या करना चाहिए? Don't leave it to the market. Doing so may leave poor section of society depreciate your views. Okay, fine. So let me share you another side of the coin also. कि मान लो कि अगर हमने गवर्नमेंट ने इसको कंट्रोल करना स्टार्ट किया. अब मान लो अभी मैं मैन्युफैक्चरर हूँ. इफ आई एम अ मैन्युफैक्चरर ऑफ अ पैरासिटामोल, इन्वेस्टमेंट आई विल मेक और व्हाटएवर न्यू रिसर्च आई विल पुट इनटू, though like government says that okay, like you cannot sell your product by more than 1 rupee. Okay, so today I will say, okay, like as government is forcing me to sell it by 1 rupee, I'm selling it at a 1 rupee. But why should I invest into the research and development of this product, or why should I put my energies to make it an improved version of the same drug? Because at the end of the day, I'm just getting 1 rupee. Okay, so I will not put my research and development to use segment. And initially it is okay, but what will happen on a long term? That after 2 to 5 years or 10 years, the whole market will be having the same product because nobody has invested into the research. Because government is not allowing them to get the years. Government will say that okay, price is okay, but there is no new research going on to the industry, or there is no new products research because government has put a control on the price. Okay, so I guess like now did anybody change the mind? करना चाहिए या नहीं करना चाहिए government को price control? Must be strictly controlled by the Indian government, as said by Mohini. Okay, this is why Patent Act is okay, fine. See what happened, like there is like both the side have the problem. One is like if we will not control the price, like poor people will not be able to afford it. Second, if we will control the price, the research will not happen, and so that research segment will be down, and there will be no new improvements into the segment. So what the government of India has done is something very fantastic into the Drug Price Control Order 2013. Okay, they did it in a very interesting way. What they did is they considered what are the medicines which are essential. Okay, which are like which are very much essential for the survival of the community. And so they came to know that okay, there is a WHO is a World Health Organization. I mean, after COVID pandemic, everybody is knowing WHO. So WHO make a national list of essential medicines for every country, like for many countries. Okay, so WHO is making a list for NLEM, that is a national list of essential medicine for India. So what government decided, whatever medicines are listed in the NLEM, we will control the prices for these drugs. And the medicines which are not mentioned into the NLEM, the medicines which are not very much essential for the survival of the community, we will not put the control on their price. And so that industry can get the motivation to put the money into the research and development also. And that's how it made it in like our drug price control order of 2030 works, where we always put the control on the price for the medicines which are listed into the national list of essential medicines. And those medicines which are not listed into the NLEM, we put it for the market control. Let the market decide the price. and so the industry can earn the profit and can also invest into the research. Okay, so this is how our policy is working, which is addressing both the issues. जो भी, or yes, government do have a liberty, government do have the power, or kind of a veto power, where like even government thinks if it is, even though it is not listed into the NLEM, but if government thinks that it is very important for the society, if it is very important for the survival of the community, government can take it into the price control. Say for example, you must have seen that we have rolled the prices for the cardiac stent. Okay, cardiac stent, earlier there was a big loot going on from the cardiac stent segment. Whenever there is a stent replacement, the hospitals and other segments were looting the people. So government has put the price control on it. Even government has put the price control on the knee replacement medical devices also. So yes, government do have that, like that provision in the DPCO, where government can take anything under the price control if he thinks suitable for the community. Okay, so yes, we can, like just like I share these things just to make you aware that Indian pharmaceutical sector is having a good future, considering that we are having some of the unique policies in our line. And you must be proud that yes, there are many developing countries who are now following that, who are also now making their legislations in a way to control the prices, like a DPCO. Like Thailand and many other countries are now trying to follow our model of drug price control order. Okay, so this is very unique and very good. Even like in the many developed countries also, they are planning to make it in a framework where they can control the prices of the medicines, because medicine prices get creating a big havoc throughout the world. Okay, so it is not always the case that something which is at US FDA is always good. Okay, fine. Chalo, now we focus on our today's main criteria of jobs and the future career part. I'm sure many of you must be very much eager to know about it. Okay, this particular things will, like initially the introduction about our regulation will help you understand the size and the scope of our industry. Okay, now as I will again ask somebody to put it into the chat if there is any specific question about the career. But what I will share, what after pharmacy in the government. Okay, so that is the first question that I should be sharing. Let me stop sharing this presentation wala part, so I'll share it at the right time. So when we are completing our B.Pharm, then there are, people have the opportunity to appear in the government examinations and can join the government. There are many options. However, I'll discuss one by one. The first option, one of the best option for the pharmacy graduate to get into the government services is the examination of the drugs inspector. Okay, drugs inspector is a gazetted officer which is recruited under Section 20 of the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, which is a class 2 position, class 2 officer, which is generally see our Indian regulation. There is a drugs inspector, then there is an assistant commissioner, then there is a joint commissioner, and then there is a commissioner. The commissioner is the head of the state. So if you are in the Maharashtra, then the commissioner is heading all the drug regulations, even the food regulations of the Maharashtra. Okay, so drugs inspector is the entry point, or you can say the starting point to reach into this regulatory. This drug inspector's job has the multiple fronts of working, like regulating the manufacturing part. The drugs inspector is having the responsibility to go to all the manufacturing unit and check whether they are following the good manufacturing practices or not. They can go to all the kind of manufacturing processes, like starting from the APIs to the finished goods, even in the manufacturing processes of drills, medical devices. So anything which you consider drug and somebody is manufacturing it, the drugs inspector has to oversee their processes. Plus, drugs inspector also has to look after the sell part. Okay, the selling, the wholesale part or the retail sell of the medicines throughout the jurisdiction, whether it is under the observation of the qualified person or not, whether the storage of the product is proper or not, whether the labeling of the product is proper or not. So all such things are been like observed or the regulated by the drugs inspector. Drugs inspectors do even drugs inspector do inspect the hospitals also. Drugs inspector do inspect the blood banks also. Just to put it into the perspective, the drugs inspector is not just somebody who is actually visiting the retail medical store. It is very limited part of his job, but like he's also working with the manufacturing part, the blood bank part, and other hospitals or dispensaries part as well. Then the drugs inspector reports it to the assistant commissioner, and assistant commissioner in a way report to the commissioner. Apart from it, the drugs inspectors do the sampling of the medicines also. Drugs inspectors go to anywhere where the drugs are available, be it a retail medical store, be it a wholesale store, or be it a hospital, or be it a godown or anything, wherever the drugs are being stored. So drug inspector can visit that person, even the vehicles. अगर मान लो कोई vehicle में वो drugs जा रहा है तो drug inspector उसको रोक कर उसमें से भी sample ले सकते हैं. So sample लेगा वो, and then he will send it to the government analyst. Government analyst is also a government position which is working on the laboratory, which is again a class 2 position. So government analyst will analyze this particular sample, and government analyst will send it to the send a report under the form 13. No need to remember the numbers, but yes, government analyst will declare that whatever sample you have taken is of standard quality or of not of standard quality. And then if it is not of standard quality, then drug inspector can file a case against the culprit. And ultimately there are provisions in our Drugs and Cosmetic Act where there is a possibility of a lifetime imprisonment also. If you are indulged into the manufacturing of the spurious product, the lifetime imprisonment is also possible. So you can see that it is such a diverse field that every day is a new day for you. Every day you will learn something new. Every day you will face something new, because like as you are inspecting multiple facilities, you will learn so much about the quality system or quality management system, quality culture, everything, because you are observing all the quality management systems at a new level. So like you can oversee, you can see it from the zoom out point, and you can see that how all the industries are managing their quality, and you can take best out of it and you can learn out of it. So this is a very good learning job. Every day you have something new to learn in front of you. Every day you has to something new to do for you because someday you has to file the prosecution, someday you has to read the theory and the guidelines and everything. So it is such a satisfying and challenging job, right? Now the question will be like how to enter into it. So like there are two entry points. One is through the state public service commissions. Okay, state public service commissions, like if you are in the Maharashtra, then the Maharashtra Public Service Commission will be there. If you are in the other state, then other state do have their own state public service commissions. Again, it is not limited that if you are from the Maharashtra, then you can only appear into the Maharashtra examination. It is not the case. You can appear anywhere. However, the only thing is there are some eligibility criteria that you need to fulfill. So for the state kind of drugs inspector, even drugs inspectors are of two types. One is the drugs inspector of the state, and another is drugs inspector of the central government. Okay, so for the state drugs inspector, the Public Service Commission of the state will conduct the examination, and for the central government's drugs inspector, the UPSC will conduct the entrance examination. For the state government's drugs inspector, if we will talk first, then in that case, the basic requirement is the graduation. Yes, it is simply the graduation, not that experiences. In majority of the state recruitment notification, they don't put the 18 month of experience requirement, at least for the state drugs inspector. Okay. But like the examinations are in the multiple phases. Like they may start with the prelims, then they may go for interviews to finalize the list. Okay, the different states may have a different phases also. Some states do have the mains examination also, where they conduct the objective based examinations at the beginning, and which will work as a screening point. Then after that, they may ask you to write some descriptive examination, and finally there will be personality test, that is the interview, which will be the reason for the final selection. But it is like, it depends on the particular recruitment notification. Like every state do have some variations into it. As I appeared in the drugs inspector examination in Gujarat in 2012, it was it was the prelims exam, which is a MCQ based or the objective based examination, and after qualifying it, it was the interview. And by combining the scores from both the examination, that was the final merit that they can conduct. Somebody is asking me about the website. Yes, it is simply you write about your Maharashtra Public Service Commission and you will find the website. It is not something very much hidden. Okay, but this is like, and the examination preparation is like a GPAT, like you has to prepare for all the MCQ based examination. Okay, so that is that. One more important thing is the language part. Okay, every state, suppose it is a Maharashtra, then there is a requirement that people should be that anybody who is aspiring for the for the drugs inspector, then he should be aware about the Marathi language. Or suppose somebody is in Gujarat, then he should be well aware about the Gujarati language. So that criterias are also always there in all the state drugs inspector examination, where they feel that the officer needs to have the basic language understanding so that they can deal the things in a better way. Okay, now if we will talk about the UPSC's drugs inspector examination. Okay, the UPSC also conduct the drugs inspector examination, which is like they are the central government's drugs inspector. Their main role is to work on a central government's portfolios, like government has to have a drugs inspector to check the imports of the drugs in India, or to check the exports of the drugs in India, or to oversee the manufacturing process, or to oversee the blood banks functioning. Suppose there is a new manufacturing unit establishment, then there are joint inspection from the state drugs inspectors authorities and the central government's drugs inspector authorities. Both of them do the joint inspections and then they approve it. Particularly for the medical device segment, like orthopedic implants and other medical device inspections. In that case, the central government's drugs inspectors do have their roles to play. In that, UPSC conducts the prelims exam and the interview. However, in the UPSC, they require the 18 months of experience in any manufacturing unit which is having the Schedule C C1 drugs manufacturing. Schedule C और C1 आप ड्रग एंड कॉस्मेटिक एक्ट में देखोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि like all the parenterals, antibiotics, they are categorized under the Schedule C and Schedule C1. So उसमें अगर आपका experience है 18 months का, तभी like you can apply for the central government's UPSC examination for the drugs inspector. One more important thing that you should be knowing is the examination is not well frequent, like it is not coming into the every year. It is not like the frequency of examination is not decided. ऐसा नहीं है कि every year they conduct the examination. So that fact needs to be considered always. Maybe like they announce the recruitment notification after 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, depending on the current vacancy of that state. Okay, so it is not very wise to wait for the examination and like not choosing any other option of career and simply wasting the time for the preparation of the examination, because you are not sure, nobody is sure when the next recruitment notification will come in your state. Okay, so it is always advisable that once the recruitment notification is announced, then you should invest your time in dedicated preparation, and you should always focus on some other career options also at the same time. Okay, so that's how it works. I'm observing your questions in the chat and I'm trying to cover it. It is like every year नहीं आ रहा है, वो तो मैंने बता दिया. Okay, so this is like one segment जो बहुत ही like I will give it as a first choice for all the graduates who are there. You also has to consider that you has to face the interview part also, And in my batch, in other batches also, when I have observed that in interview, they always prefer students who are having the master's degree or the further PhDs or so they get the good marks in interview. So even though the basic eligibility criteria is B.Pharm, however, in my batch, all the candidates who qualified with the drugs inspector examination, we were like majority of us were masters M.Pharm. They have done the M.Pharm because like the panel generally prefer who are having the master's degree. So that is one criteria. It is nowhere written. It is nowhere written. It is not the basic eligibility criteria, but it is a general tip that I can share with you, that yes, masters and other higher education will help you to clear the interviews in a better way for such examination. The next thing which like somebody is asking me about the government analyst also. So like, as now you are very clear about the roles of these officers, like the drugs inspector takes samples and the government analyst will analyze it. Okay, so here again the B.Pharm is the basic requirement for the government analyst. And all the state laboratories, so every state do have a FDCS, that is a Food and Drug Control Administration, which is a kind of a government administrative department, which is like, you know, which is a head of all the drugs inspectors also and all the government analysts also. So government analyst recruitments are also through the state government's notification, and that is through the laboratories. Like every state do have the food and drug laboratory also. Okay, so the food and drug laboratories generally select the government analyst again through the state public service commissions. However, for such laboratories, there are some positions which are like a junior scientific assistant or the senior scientific assistant. So there is a possibility in certain state that they recruit such a post for on a contract basis, that is a fixed pay for 5 years. Then after completing the 5 years, they will be regulated on a government's pay, and then they will be designated as a government analyst. So there is a provision for such thing also. People can enter into the government analyst portfolio by this route also. However, it is a very long one. You should be waiting for 5 years on the fixed pay, and then after 5 years you again has to enter into the government pay. So not very advisable, but yes, it is also one way of entering into the government. While in the drugs inspector, from the very first day you are on the government's full pay. Okay, there is no such fixed pay or contract system or any other thing. Once you clear the state public service commission's examination or the UPSC examination, from the very first day you will be the full-time government officer. Okay, so it is not the case like that for 5 years you will be on a fixed pay, you will not get any promotions, or you will not get any growth, not any increments for 5 years. After 5 years you will be considered for it. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है गवर्नमेंट, एटलीस्ट फॉर द ड्रग्स इंस्पेक्टर. बट यस, ये जो जूनियर साइंटिफिक असिस्टेंट वगैरह होता है उसमें इस तरह से रहता है. ओके okay, I am observing the questions again. Okay, so this is like somebody is asking me, like Vikas is asking me about the government job for quality assurance department. So it is again like, if you are in the laboratory, there is a food and drug laboratory, you has to deal with everything. You has to deal with the whole analysis segment, which includes all the like quality controls also. There is no other there is no manufacturing segment into the government, so the other aspects of the quality assurance are not indulged into it. Okay, so this is something about the drugs inspector positions and the government analyst positions. Even like I will advise you to apply for all the states drugs inspector notification whenever it comes. At least, like, you know, there are many states where the basic language requirement is simply Hindi, and many of us are fluent into the Hindi part. So I don't think it will be a big trouble to cross this particular interview and the language requirement. However, it will be a trouble, it will be challenged to appear in the drugs inspector examination of some of the southern states where their languages are difficult to understand for the outsider. Okay, so this is there. Okay, Miss Maya is saying that the 18 months requirement experience for the state. Well, like I understand that in the Drugs and Cosmetic Act it is mentioned, but however many states are publishing the notification where they waive off this experience requirement, even including when I I appeared in the examination in 2012 in the government of Gujarat. We were just the fresh MPharm students, and we did not had any kind of experience, but still we selected because government has waived off the 18 months of requirement, 18 months of experience requirement at that time. But yes, as I have mentioned, the central government still requires this 18 months of experiences. Okay. So this is there. The another aspect of the government job in after the pharmacy is the pharmacist. So all the government institutions, be it a government hospitals, be it a ESICs, be it a railways, be it any central government forces, or like say for example armies or BSF or Navy, every government institutions do have a role for pharmacists. So they published a notification for jobs as a pharmacist. However, I personally will not suggest you to go for such jobs because they are like a very monotonous kind of a job, and the chances of growth are very limited. I mean, like if in the government job, like in the government segment directly, if you are going for a pharmacist job, first thing is it is like for 5 years it will be on a fixed kind of a term. I mean, like for 5 years you have a fixed pay. There is no growth, there is no promotion. You will even not being considered as in full-time government officers, will not get any benefits being a government employee. Okay, so you for 5 years you have to work in that way, and after 5 years you will be eligible for the you will be eligible for the full-time kind of a government officer, where your pay will be revised and your leaves will be revised and other government officers जो privileges रहते, so that will be revised after 5 years. Okay, and after 5 years you will be starting as a government officer, and then all your promotions and all national pension schemes and everything will be started later in the 5 years. So that is again one of the demotivating factors for the fresh pharmacist. So I will not suggest you to go for it. But apart from it, still you will get a very good handsome amount at the end of the month. Even during the fixed pay also, all the state governments has revised their structure, and they are paying good. I mean, at least they are paying good at the beginners, at least 35,000-40,000 they generally pay at the beginning of the pharmacist. It varies from different state, but in Gujarat it is good. At least it is starting with the 31 to 35 somewhere. Okay, so initially you feel good that okay, like I am already earning good, but the thing is it is very stagnant, or you can say like after 5 years also you will be working same. After 5 years also you will be taking out the medicines from the shelf and giving it to the prescription holder. Then after 10 years also you will be doing the same. After 15 years also you will be doing the same. Your pay must be getting revised and it is getting improved, but I am sure that money is not the only motivating factor for our career. We require something new, learning or some new challenges or new possibilities of the growth to get a good job satisfaction and to have a good satisfaction for our career. So pharmacists do not like the jobs like a pharmacist, direct, simply normal dispensing pharmacist. They do not provide such opportunities in general. Again, this is my limited personal views. Okay, you must be having a different view of the life. It is absolutely correct and fine, but I'm just sharing my limited understanding about this job. Okay, so this is there like uska exams be like every institutions conduct accordingly. Like there will be different examinations for the government hospitals, then there will be different examinations for the ESICs, there will be different examinations for the railways. So we have to keep on checking their websites most of the time whenever they publish the recruitment notification. You have to appear for the exams. It is simply like a multiple choice question examinations, and that is done. Majority of time they do not require the personal interviews also. But again, as I am mentioning here, every institutions do have their own SOPs for the recruitment, and they keep on changing. They are dynamic. Like this year they have recruited based on MCQ merit. Next year they may conduct the MCQ exams plus interviews. So it is dynamic. It is keep on changing. Okay, so this is like a second role that you can do after your graduations. Uh, but considering this thing, this is not a very satisfying criteria. Uh, Best thing as an BPharm students we should do is always go for a master's degree, because in this world of competition, the master's degree is one of the basic requirement to stand out. Okay, otherwise, like, even though you get into the private sector, private industry or anywhere, just BPharm will always keep you into the lower level of the management. Even with your intelligence or even with your hard work also, you cannot climb up the ladders if you do not have the basic requirement of the education, which is minimum is there for the master's degree in pharmacy at least. Okay. Okay, one more thing that I would like. Okay, sir, what about ESIC? So I said it like the exam is like a GPAT. You prepare for the GPAT because pharmacy is pharmacy, right? Like you once prepare the whole subject for the MCQ based examination. You can appear for the examinations like GPAT. You can appear for the pharmacist examinations like ESIC entrance exam or like railways exam or any other examination. They're quite easy. But yes, the examinations for the drugs inspectors are quite difficult. So for that you has to put some extra efforts. Though it is like a parallel like a GPAT, but yes, it requires a dedicated efforts. But for such other examination, you can clear it. Okay, and the recruitments are in like they require 2,000 pharmacists or 1,000 pharmacists kind of. So like all of them who are having some serious efforts, they must get selected, because the selections are in 1,500 kind of. So but as I said, like, it is not a very good option to go for at the beginning. You must try, you must aim high, you must try to get something better which is available in the segment. Okay. So that is there. Yes, one more important thing, like, the third criteria, one is like, once we have discussed about the drugs inspector, then the government analyst, then the other pharmacist, one more unexplored area are like we have many CSIR labs. Okay, many CSIR labs are there in the government. So, and they require the people who are having the great research interest and the great research trust. Okay, so if you consider yourself as a research person, okay, वैसे like ज़्यादातर हमें ही नहीं पता होता है कि हम research person है या नहीं है, but still if you still have some inclination, some more inclinations for the research, you can always opt for such examinations or such entrance. Again, this is like very rare that they directly put some notification. Sometimes they, like, there are some PhD positions are there in such laboratories, and then after PhD positions they give you some fellowships like and then if there is some notifications for recruitment which is like one number, two number, there is a vacancy for 2 person or whether is a vacancy for 1 person, accordingly you has to clear that thing. जैसे कि हमारे like बहुत सारे CSIR labs हैं जो इस तरह का analysis कर रहे हैं. So if like it is similar like your food and drug laboratories, उसमें किस तरह से आप enter करते हो, उसी तरह से ये सब labs में भी आप enter कर सकते हो. But yes, it requires a higher level of research. It is not just after graduation. Okay, you require masters and PhDs for it. The qualification, as I mentioned, like, you has to have the masters and the PhD. You has to have some research papers in that area, and then you has to clear their interviews and you get selected. But yes, the opportunities are very rare. The recruitments are in like 1, 2, 3 positions, 4 positions according. It varies. मतलब it is like it is not big in the number. जैसे pharmacist का examination आएगा तो recruitment is for 1,000 vacancies. और say for example जैसे drugs inspector का आता है तो recruitments are it's for around 30 people, 40 people accordingly. Okay, so like obviously less the number, more the competition. Okay. Yes, like somebody is asking that if they are having the gaps between their studies after BPharm and MPharm, whether I can apply for exams. Yes, government do not judge you for all these things. The government examination, anybody can apply, irrespective of the breaks you have in your career or any other thing. You just have that basic qualifying criteria and you can apply for it. Okay. pharmacist can write the prescription. Oh no, like you fight for it. Okay, as of now, even pharmacy, like even for the wholesale of the medicines, the pharmacists are not even required. Even the 10th pass and the 12th pass person can sell the medicine on the wholesale basis. Okay, so this is a big challenge for we the pharmacists, that we has to fight against it. Okay, we has to pressurize the government to change this thing, because it is like they don't know the drugs. The person who is having 10th qualification or the 12th pass person, they don't know the medicine. Then how shall they sell the wholesale medicine? But even today, on the 29th of June of 2020, the 10th pass and the 12th pass persons are selling the wholesale medicines. Okay, so we pharmacists has to, as I said mentioned earlier, that okay, we has to do the best as an individual. We has to raise these issues, and we has to make that the only pharmacists should sell these medicines at the wholesale level or at the retail level. So that will also give us a better scope for employment also, and it will also help us to control the quality of the medicines in the better way. Okay, suggest the website for the state public commission. There is no multiple website. There is only one website for each public service commission. Okay, so you simply write the Maharashtra Public Service Commission and you will get the website. Okay, so what about after PharmD graduates? What are the career scopes? Well, see, this is a very challenging question, because the PharmD like is not yet very much recognized in India. So, and as far as the clinical pharmacist practice are concerned, Indian society is not very much aware or very much ready for this thing. So you, like everybody who is having such qualification, they has to reunite their efforts, and they has to make that the role of the clinical pharmacist very clear. Okay, we has to grab this from the doctors, because doctors are are getting everything. Even doctors are selling medicines also, which is a clear cut domain of the pharmacy professionals. Okay, so like even the Drugs and Cosmetic Act of 1940, which is a pre-independence act, even today there is a clear cut instruction into the Drug and Cosmetic Act that if the doctors cannot sell the medicines, if doctors wants to give the medicines to their patients, they can give it by writing under the Schedule K register. Okay, they has to maintain a separate register that okay, I have given this medicine to my patient and I have not charged extra for this drug. But if they are selling the medicine, if they are giving the bill, then they are clearly contravening the provisions of the act. You can prosecute them, you can sue them. Okay, but as you know that pharmacists are like very tolerable. They don't bother that whether somebody is encroaching their profession or not. Okay, because we ourselves are not very much give respect. We are not giving respect to our profession. So we have some big concerns that which requires our attention as a community, as in pharmacy community, and we all together has to work on it. Okay, it is like it might be possible that only you cannot do that, only I cannot do that, but if we combine our efforts, we can definitely address these issues. Okay, so for PharmD professionals specifically, this is a need of an hour, and everybody has to rise up and needs to define the responsibilities of our profession. Okay, sir, if we have completed research on the herbal products and we want to start self-manufacturing unit, what are the guidelines for it? See, for starting the newer units or anything, you don't require any specific qualification, right? I mean, yes, anybody and everybody can start with the herbal products, or there is a Schedule T in the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, which states the requirement for the Ayurvedic and other like Siddha Unani manufacturing units. Okay, so you go through it, like it requires कि आपको इस तरह का फैसिलिटी चाहिए, इतना बड़ा रूम चाहिए, इतने यूनिट्स चाहिए, रॉ मटेरियल का स्टोरेज अलग रखना है, फिनिश गुड का स्टोरेज अलग रखना है. There is a list of requirement. There is a long list, at least which we can discuss for 10 hours, that your personnel should be of this qualification. You have to have the drinking water facility, you have to have such drainage facility, you should be having such air handling units. So variety of criteria are there, which are like good manufacturing practice criteria. So that criteria somebody has to follow, and then they can start with it. Okay, so yes, initial requirement, initial investment will be big, but once you follow the quality, the rewards are also big. Okay, what are the process to get the PCI membership? Okay, like you don't have to worry about it. Then the college will worry about it, that how to get the PCI. Okay, you want to, okay, that is different. Like you has to, if you want to be the part of the PCI, this is different, because you know that if you know the constitution of the PCI, there are different members. Like for that, you has to first establish your metal into the field. You has to be into the some of in the research or in the academics or in the industry, and then there are chances of elections and the nominations. Accordingly, you will be the part of the PCI. But it is not the case that there is no such exams and you clear the exam and be the part of the PCI. Okay, so this is a long-term vision you could have, where you can establish your career into one particular front, and you may get elected or you may get nominated institutions like PCI or DTAM or DCC. Okay, this is very highly reputed kind of a position, and they require the best of the best people to be the part of it. So if you are best of the best, you will get opportunity to be the part of it by nominations or by elections. Okay, or even if you are already in the government services, then there are certain positions like ex officio positions also. Okay, so ex officio matlab, if you are the Director General of Health, then you will be the ex officio member of the DTAB accordingly. Okay. Okay, now this is like, these are the opportunities of the in the government. Plus apart from it, obviously, like there are all many government universities, many national institutes are also the government jobs, right? They are also providing the government pay. The rules and regulations are almost like a government. So for that, again, you has to have the State Public Service Commission. Like if you want to work into some state universities, you has to go through the State Public Service Commission examination, and then they recruit it accordingly. Okay. Somebody is asking me about the civil services. Yes, Mr. Anonymous, what is a good name? You are sending this message for fifth time that I want to appear for the civil service examination, and why should we do that? Okay, so yes, for me particularly, I was like, when after working as a drugs inspector for 5 years, I appeared into the civil service examination, and like then I joined the general administrative services, like all this, like in Maharashtra there is a MAS, that is a Maharashtra Administrative Services. So like in same way, for the state it is a State Administrative Services, and for the central it is a Indian Administrative Services, that is IAS. Okay, so IAS is the central government's administrative services. Same way, all the state do have their own administrative services. Like Gujarat have a GAS, that is a Gujarat Administrative Services, while Maharashtra do have a MAS, that is a Maharashtra Administrative Services accordingly. So yeah, it is again this is like again a class 1 position, where you will be having the bigger portfolio to see bigger opportunities to learn about it. But you have to appear for the separate examination for it, which is in line of a UPSC civil services examination, where there are 3 phases are there. One is prelims examination. Once you clear the prelims examination, then there will be mains examination. Mains examinations do have mains examination do have a written papers. You have to descriptive writing is required. After clearing the mains examination, you have to appear into the interviews. Okay, and once you clear all these 3 stages, you will get the merit, and according to merit you will be allotted the services. Generally in the state, if you are appearing in the services, there are different positions like a deputy collectors or DYSP, or like other class 1 positions like a or like district registrar kind of. So according to your merit, you will be getting the services. Okay, so this is there. But yes, one particular criteria is that there is no pharmacy subject in this examination. Okay, so that is a big challenge for all the pharmacy students. You have to select other subjects, like you may select the history, or you may select the geography or public administration or any other subject of your choice, and you have to give the exam for that subject. So it is like you have to prepare one subject as a new entrant. Yeah, that is challenging for pharmacy. Again, as I mentioned, all the pharmacists should reunite and demand that in such services also we should be having the pharmacy subject, because other streams do have their own subject, so they have an added advantage to compete with these examinations. Okay, which subject I do recommend? Ashwini is asking me that. See, like again, I cannot recommend a one particular subject. There is a list of 27 plus subjects, but it is up to you. I mean, like if I personally selected public administration because being a pharmacist, every subject was new for me, and I thought that public administration is like is not requiring a kind of a specialization for understanding the flow of the subject, and so I selected it, and I thought that it was a good choice for me. But it is very much different for different individual. Okay, you may select the history as you like it. You may select the international relation and political science. You may select chemistry. You may select the management. You may select the maths, depending on your own choice. Okay, but yes, like जो छोटे subject रहते हैं, जैसे like history है, public administration है, sociology है, philosophy है, वो सब लोग ज़्यादा पसंद करते हैं. ठीक है, but it again there is no such rule कि आपको यही subject पसंद करना है. Okay, one more important thing that I would like to share is कि जो ऐसे subjects रहते हैं जैसे कि management है या economics है, तो they are very wide and very broad subject, and the chances of questions are very difficult because it is such a broad, and the spectrum of such a subjects are so wide that you cannot cover up everything. So that is a limiting factor for few subjects. So be aware that you don't select such subjects. Okay. So yeah, I guess this is the thing we should be discussing today. But I'm like, if there is any more question, I would like to take it. Does the selection of subject define your recruitment? No. Ultimately the merit will be combined. Okay, and as I said, that this is a general, so they require you to be the like a subject expert of all the general subjects. Like you need to know bit of a history also. You need to know the geography also. You need to know the political science also, because this is like one optional subject you select, but apart from it you also has to appear into the 4 main papers, which are general studies paper, which covers everything, which covers history, which covers political science, which covers economics, which covers the management aspects, everything. Okay, so for general studies you anyway has to read other subject, but one optional subject you need to select in which you has to have a detailed understanding, because uska aapko alag se paper dena hai. ठीक है, in UPSC you has to appear for two such papers for an optional subject. So this is altogether a different thing. It is like it is not directly related with your current profession. Okay, but yes, if you want to be, let's say, for example, in Maharashtra particularly, a drug inspector is a pharmacist and the assistant commissioner is a pharmacist, right? But the commissioner is from the IAS. Okay, so if you want to be in such services where you can definitely lead the different portfolio, different subjects, then you can be into this administrative services. But yes, it is a different examination. It requires a dedicated different preparation. Okay. What will be the career opportunities for the pharmacy student after completing the regulatory affair courses? Okay, like see, like currently today, whatever we have discussed is simply for the government opportunities also. However, in the private segment also, we are having the plenty of opportunities. Like as our segment is growing so fast in the private sector, we have immense opportunities for the regulatory affairs job or the patent related jobs, like a patent officers or the intellectual property management. I started my career with the intellectual property management at the Lupin, at the Pune itself. Yeah, I was at the Pune for 1 year or so, working with the Lupin Research Park over there. So yes, so there are immense opportunity in the segment. So as like Sagar is asking about the regulatory affairs course, yes, like all the industry has to communicate with all the regulatory agencies. They has to fulfill their requirements. So yes, there is a big scope. Even the number of jobs are there, like plus the scale of their pay is also very good. So regulatory affairs do have a immense potential for a good job. Plus I would again like to suggest, like once you are doing your masters, select the subjects which are having the broader spectrum. Because if you have done your masters into the pharmaceutics, you are eligible for all the pharmaceutics job, plus you are also eligible for the regulatory affairs job, plus you are also eligible for the patent related jobs. But if you are doing your masters into the regulatory affairs, you are only eligible for the regulatory affairs job. You may not be selected for the other jobs which are related with the pharmaceutics or the patents or other things. So be smart, select the subject which is having the broader spectrum, because you never know after 2 years what will be the job scenario or what would be your interest areas. Okay, it might be possible that I did, say for example, I did my studies in the pharmaceutics, like I did my masters in the NDDS, but then I started my career as an intellectual property management group. So this is just an example, but yes, you has to have the options open so that I make the right decision. Okay, every year vacancies are filled for MPSC. No, there is no such, at least for the state governments, there is no such regularity, you can say. Like, it is not the case that every year they put the notification for all the jobs. And I'm sure now you are clear that the recruitment notification for the drugs inspector is different, and recruitment notification for other civil services like general administrative services are different. So there are two different examinations that they put into the notification. So for the drugs inspector, they say, for example, in Gujarat after 2012, it is not yet declared anytime. Okay, so it is last 8 years when there was no such drugs inspector examination in Gujarat. So yeah, it varies on depending on the available vacancies and many other factors.
So if
Okay.
you are done with your deliberation,
Mhm.
do you mind if we take some more questions, or we may end for the day as per your convenience, sir?
Oh, okay, I guess if there is any specific question, we should take it. Otherwise, I have shared it, my
Yes, I
views.
think
Yeah.
students are asking the same questions maybe
Hmm.
again. Yeah,
Yes.
sir, I would like to ask one question. Sir,
Please.
every government has a drug information center.
Hmm.
So do pharmacists have any role in that drug information center?
Uh, well, not directly. Sometimes, say for example, during such pandemic or during the government hospital, they give such duties to the pharmacist over there. So, like if somebody is selected as a government pharmacist, then they may get an additional duty to work into the drug information centers as well. But there is no separate or dedicated recruitment for such centers, as per my understanding.
And the pharmacy councils have their own drug information centers. Like when I was checking one of the websites of maybe MPSC,
Mm-hmm.
so like they had their own drug information center. So do they
Yeah.
take pharmacists there?
See, as I know for the Gujarat, they have recruited few people on that mechanism where for 5 years they are on the fixed term, and after 5 years they will be like selected into the government. See, in the government, whenever they has to create some new position, there's a long procedure. They has to go through the finance department and everything. So what many departments do, they start recruiting on the contract basis, where for 11 months they recruit the people, they give the pay, and so after 11 months they again has to renew the contract and kind of. So here in Gujarat, there are certain some officers recruited on this basis, but it is not a very good choice for the student to start the career accordingly, because it is very uncertain that what will happen after 11 months, we are not sure. So if there is a I will personally suggest that if there is a fixed pay, or at least there is a full pay, then only we should go for it. But yes, otherwise generally they give it on a duty basis, like they give the duty to other available pharmacists.
Another common doubt that majority of students have is if they want to pursue for DI after their B Farm, maybe they should have some 18 months of experience. You negated it, but still, like, they are not very clear. So like
Mm.
they have an idea that 18 months of experience should be in parenterals or
Mm.
manufacturing or what. So what kind of experience, if at all, they want to have? It should be in which area?
It should be in the manufacturing of the Schedule C1 medicines. So if there is a parenteral manufacturing, or or if there is any manufacturing units indulge into the manufacturing of antibiotics, so such experience will be counted. Majority of our manufacturing units have one particular formula which might be falling under the Schedule C1. So any manufacturing unit which is manufacturing the injections, antibiotics, or any other parenteral formulation, that experience should be counted for the 18-month experience of the UPSC drugs inspector examination. Okay, but I should clarify that for the state drugs inspector examination, generally they do not require this kind of requirement for 18 months of experience.
And some students are asking about training program of involved in drug. Can you highlight on that?
Pardon? Training program of?
A drug inspector, like before you become a drug inspector, some kind of training is given to you, right?
See, it is like it is for all the government job. Once you get recruited, then you has for 2 years you will be recruited on the probation basis, and during this probation you will be given intensive training. So like in the drugs inspector examination also, you will be given intensive training of 45 days, and after that you again has to write the exam, and you has to clear that exam, and then you will be like you will be recruited in a long-term basis, or you can say the like permanent basis. So yes, you has to clear this exam. So the training covers the regulatory parts of our country, regulatory domain, regulatory procedures of other countries, the current Indian scenarios, what are the areas of improvement. Even they give you the hands-on training of inspection also, because inspection itself is a skill that the inspector has to learn. So they will take you to the different manufacturing units, and they will guide you that how to check this machinery, how to check these records, how to check the data integrity part. So these are the initial trainings. Plus during the job as well, you will get trainings as a part of a on-job training, or you will get a 3 days 4 days training session, or 3 days 4 days some tools of, say for example, you might be having a dedicated training for biotechnology based unit, kind of. Okay, so there is ongoing training in this segment, because you know that like the regulatory domain is such a dynamic one. Every day there is a new guideline, ICH published something new. So yes, governments do conduct the training sessions on a regular basis for the professionals in the regulatory domain.
I think we can call it for the day. Sir, it was a wonderful session and such an informative session which cleared like all the doubts that even we as teachers had little bit small,
No.
because students also come to us with all these kind of questions. So
Yes.
thank you so much for a wonderful and informative session on government jobs and how a pharmacist can actually seek a government job and what are the different type of exams that they need to give. Really, I would like
Yeah.
to propose the thanks
Thank you for
on behalf of DPUs, Dr. D.Y. Patil IPSR, Pimpri Pune, management, principal, staff, and students, specifically from the training and placement cell of the institute, and all the participants for such an informative and a wonderful session. I also thank the participants for their wonderful participation and important questions. Thank you once again, sir, for sparing
thank
your
you.
valuable time. I know that you have been keeping very busy because of the COVID situation. Of
Yeah.
course, many of us are working from home, but you're working from your office,
Uh,
working extra hours. So thank you really for sparing your valuable time and
Thank you. It is my
guiding us
pleasure.
on such an important topic.
Thank you. It is
I
my pleasure.
request, yes, sir, I request all the participants to just turn on their videos so we can have a group photo as a memory. I request all of you to please turn on your videos so that we can take a group photo. I request all of you to please turn on your videos so that we can have it for our records. Okay, all the participants, you should fill the feedback form. Link has already been shared during the session in order to get your e-certificate, because that is considered as your attendance certificate as well. So please fill the feedback. Without that, it will be very difficult to actually issue you the certificate. I once again at the outset would like to thank our speaker of the day, Mr. Mayur Parmar sir, Honorable Deputy Collector of Government of Gujarat Gas. Thank you, sir, on behalf of our institute and management for sparing your valuable time.
Yeah, thank you so much. I would like to share to all the students that I understand there are still many questions that I could not cover in this short period. So you can always contact me on the LinkedIn or on the Twitter. I am active on both the social medias. So whenever you are having any doubt or you feel that like we can share some opinions, you please feel free to contact me over there. Thank you.
So that is really generous of you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we are signing out for the day. Thank you, sir.